Hi everyone, very good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our ISO 27000. For example, if any organization want to adopt an architecture, want to implement the control particular this ISMS inside that organization, what will be their approach? Okay, so we will be going with a step-by-step approach. Day one, we will be understanding about roles and responsibilities of a lead implementer. Then we will be talking about ISMS. Okay, what is an ISMS? Why every organization is behind to this? They will be understanding about ISMS objective and the implementing approach towards an organization. On day two, we will be discussing about what is the mission, objective, and strategies to implement an ISMS inside an organization. Okay, not only that, we are going to discuss boundaries of an ISMS as well. How much it has been bounded. When we start implementing of an ISMS, how much it has been bounded. How to define the scope for any organization. This is again a very important thing because when we define a scope, onto the basis of the scope, we go with an implementation. Okay, once the scope is been defined, then the implementation process start. Okay, now once the controls are been implemented, now organization have to maintain all those things. Okay, so for that, what we do an gap assessment, we do an internal audit as well. So from day three, we will be discussing about an how what will be the approach of an auditor. Okay, now if you are planning for this certification, lead implementer certification or lead auditing certification, again it will give you a good understanding about the certification curriculum as well. Okay, so day three we will be discussing about the lead auditor. What are the roles and responsibilities of a lead auditor? What are the fundamental concept and principle of an audit? Okay, how a audit is been started. Then we go with an internal audit. Okay, to check how the controls which have been implemented are been implemented correctly or not, are been monitored correctly or not. We will understanding the internal audit. On day four we will be understanding the external audit. What is an external audit? When it will be scheduled, and who schedule this external audit? What is the procedure to perform an external audit? Okay, now before to start with an external audit, a plan to be ready. Okay, now what is a test plan and how that test plan has been created? So we are going to understand that. We are going to understand about the audit process as well, and end of the day we are going to close that particular audit. Okay, so this will be our agenda from day one to day four. Let's approach to our day one agenda. So day one, we are going to discuss about the implementing. Who is a lead implementer? Why it has been implemented? What is an ISO? Okay, what is an ISMS? Why every organization is behind to an ISMS if they want to implement any security control? Okay, and what will be the approach to implement ISMS? Okay, now the first thing comes into our mind is an ISO. So whenever we talk about an implementation, whenever we talk about particularly often 27,000 series, okay, or any of the series. So we have an international organization for standardization, which is a worldwide federation for national standard bodies. Okay, so what they do, they are very much specialized for system for worldwide standards as well. Okay, now these bodies are now there are national bodies which are a member of an ISO and which are a member of an IES as well. So what they are doing, they are developing the international standard through technical commitments. Okay, with respect to organization, how to deal with this, how to deal this particular field into the technical activity. So ISO and IEC, they form a technical committee, they collaborate with each other to understand the mutual interest. Okay, now not only that, there are other international organizations, government, non-government organizations which allies together and give their opinion to an ISO, and they also take part that what security measure, what control measure to be implemented or to be updated. Okay, now there are certain principles as well. So whenever we talk about an ISO applies some principle to develop this international standard. So we have 3 to 4 principles. So first is your ISO standard respond to a need into the market. ISO standard are basis on global expert opinion as well. ISO standard are developed through multi-stakeholder process. Okay. Now what does ISO do? ISO not only develop the standard for the market demand, they also responsible for the formal request from the industry as well. Okay, from the industry, from the sector, from the stakeholders. Okay, so typically the request for the standard is very much communicated with these national bodies. Okay, so they will be contacting to an ISO, and what are their requirement? They will be discussing their requirement with an ISO. Now ISO standards are based on to your global expert opinion. Okay, so what they develop various technical committees as well. So they take expert advice from all over the world. Okay, now this expert negotiate all the aspects of a standard, including your scope, including your key definition, and including your content as well. Once those has been discussed, then ISO move forward. They develop through they implement and develop through a multi-stakeholder process as well. Now this technical committee will be consisting certain will be taking expert advice from relevant industry. They will be taking advice from the associated customers as well, from NGOs, from government. Okay, so give your opinion and let's see your opinion or your advice fit into our criteria, and down the line we can implement or we can add those criteria into our national bodies. Okay, so they can strengthen, so the organization can strengthen their security posture. So particularly when we talk about an 27,000 series. Now in ISO we have multiple standards. Okay, we have multiple controls, we have multiple bodies as well. So now we are going to focus only onto your 27,000 series. Okay, now 27,000 series, we have a family of a 27,000 series, which is your ISO 27,000, ISO 27,001, ISO 27,701, then ISO 27,002, ISO 27,006, 7,007, and 7,008. Okay, so you might have heard some of these ISOs. Okay, now what are these? What is the 27,000 series? What they do? What is 27,001 series? What they do? So let's understand. Let me give you a quick overview of all these standards. 27,000. Now 27,000 is going to present some of the basic concept, or we also say it will going to give you a vocabulary. Okay, so when there is an establishment of an information security management, so ISO 27,000 ISO 27,000 is going to give you the basic vocabulary, how to apply, how to establish this inside an organization. Okay, now there is an 27,001. This is your requirement. That means it's a mandatory process. If you want to go with a certification, that means you will be aiming for an 27,001 series. Okay, now 27,001 series, talking about an information security management system. Okay, which is giving you the control list. Now those control list is coming under to your Annex A. Okay, so now this Annex A has been updated to 93 controls with 2022 guide. Okay, previously we are following 2013 guide. In that we are having 113 controls. Now it has been updated within 93 controls. That 93 control will be giving you a good idea about an implementation of an control inside an organization. There are different controls. Down the line we are going to discuss those as well. Okay, so 27,000 series gives you a requirement for an information security management system. Okay, now next we have is your 27701. Now this is your specific requirement which is going to provide some of the guidance to establish, to maintain, to go with a continual improvement of an PIMS. That is your Privacy Information Management System. Okay. So now this 27701 is again an extension to your 2701. Okay. Now 2701 also giving you an idea about an privacy management, but in detail if you want to protect the PIIs, publicly information available, personally information available data. Okay. So specifically we have a requirement for it, 27701. How you can secure those data in depth, 27701 has been talking about. Then we have is your 27002. Now this is your guidance standard. Okay, so which is going you a generic information security control, how they can be implemented. So it will giving you a guidance on implementing or guidance on setting up an ISMS. There is no mandatory requirement that organization should follow this 27702. It is just giving you an extra edge, how you can implement, how you can add the control. Okay, so it's totally depending on the organization whether they want to adapt it or not compulsory. Okay, then we have is your 27706, 27006. Now this is your requirement for organization auditing and clarifying the ISMS. It's a requirement standard. Okay, next is your 27007. Okay, now this is giving you an guidance standard. Guidance standard for information security management system auditing. Okay, giving you an guidance how you can go with an information security system auditing. Okay, then we have is your 27008. This is again your guidance standard for auditor on information security control. How an auditor can add the control, how an auditor will go with an information security control, giving an guidance for the auditors. Okay, now requirement standard is must, that means it's a mandatory process, and guidance standard is not a mandatory process, totally depending on to the auditor, onto the organization whether they want to adopt it or not. Okay, so specifically we are talking about an 27001 series. Now this is what, this is an requirement standard. Okay, if you want to secure your asset, secure your data, okay, so we have to follow an ISMS approach. If your organization want to have a certification that we have secured all the information inside an organization, all the assets have been secured as well. So for that we go with an implementation, and that is been followed as well. Okay, so for that organization or an individual will be going for a certificate. So that means it's a mandatory approach. Okay, so we will be talking about a lot of 27001 series. Okay, now what is this 27001? What this 27001 has been giving? Okay, now 27001 is set of normative requirement for the establishment, implementation, operational, monitor and review of an information security management system. As I said, it is a requirement for selecting controls, for tailoring this control. Okay, totally depending on to the organization approach, what they want based on to their industry best practice, they can adopt those control. For example, my organization is providing training, certification and consultancy. Okay, so let's suppose I want to go with an certification of an ISO 27001 inside an InfosecTrain. Okay, so first thing we are going to check what model they have been following. Okay, what is an organization, what they are providing. Okay, so by after understanding the architecture of an organization, so auditor, what he is going to do, he is going to go with an assessment, a risk assessment. So narrow down the inherent risk. What will be the possible impact for this organization, and what will be the first impact? So going with a higher risk to a lower risk. So higher risk will be, let's suppose they are providing training and consultancy. That means most of the work has been done online. Okay, so nowadays we are following an online approach. As of now, we are also connected to an online, isn't it? So as an auditor, I will be checking which application they have been using. Okay, are these trainers are compatible enough or not to deliver the requirement? Okay, because on the application, on the trainer, this ability, the whole architecture, the whole InfosecTrain, you can say the model has been depending. If the training fails or if the application fails, indirectly it is going to impact the business of an InfosecTrain, isn't it? Okay, so what I have done, I simply calculated the higher risk area. Okay, so we can add or we can implement the control over here. How the control will be implemented? Higher the higher the particular trainer by calculating, by understanding his approach, by looking by reviewing this particular you can say the trainer, what certification he's been bringing, what additional extra thing he's been bringing, how many trainings in past he has been delivered. Okay, what is his approach to towards students, how he is solving the answers of a student. So all everything will be calculated. Okay, not only that, now one more control will be added towards an application. Which application is been used? By any chance this application fails during an particular meeting, during a training, do they have any backup, a backup policy? Okay, so like this we are going with an additional approach. We are simply adding the control over here. Okay, so depending on to the organization size, depending on to the organization requirement, or onto the best practice, the set of an requirement or the set of an controls will be added. Okay, which has been coming under to your 27001 series. Now this international now this 27001 is a internationally recognized process as well, which is going to give you a defined structure how to manage information security. Okay, not only that, the standard fits all types of an organization regarding their size, regarding their sector, regarding their operation. So if your organization is commercial enterprise, you can go with an 27001. If you are associated with government agencies, absolutely yes, you can go with 27000 series. Non If your organization is non-profitable organization, absolutely you can go with an 27000 series. Why? Because you are storing some information, isn't it? Every data is an important. So organization will be keeping secure those information, those data. Okay, not only the data, the assets. Assets can be anything. Asset can be an employee, asset can be a laptop, asset can be a data inside a laptop. Now how they are securing those things, those areas, that what your ISO 27000 has been talking about. So we can add an extra layer of security. We can add and control over there. So when we go inside and premises, what we use an access card. A physical access control has been established. Now when we enter inside an building, we go towards our workstation and we open our laptop. Now what that laptop will be asking, credential. Okay, access control has been established, password policy control has been established, is been added over here. Okay, now what access that user has been having, that user won't be having an root access, the complete access. He will be having certain privileges, so we are adding up privileges. Additional control has been established. Okay, so like this we can secure that environment by adding the controls. That control will be coming under to year 27000 series by default, because it has been talking about an information security controls. Okay, now as I said, in 2013 under to your NXA. So we were having 114 controls. Now in 2022, we introduced new categories. Information security controls have been decreased in number of controls. 93 controls and clauses from 14 to 4 have been there. So it's been merged, you can say. Okay. So that is what your 27,000. Now, what is an implementer? Who is an implementer and what is a lead implementer? Let's understand that. Okay. So an ISO lead implementer is a professional who has an expert in implementing, managing the information security management system based on to your 27,001 standard. Okay, your 27,001 is an international standard which is going to provide a framework for establishing, implementing, maintaining, and going with a continual improvement of an information security management system within that organization. Okay, so lead implementer is typically responsible for leading the effort to design the implementation, to manage the ISMS according to the requirement of your 27,001. Okay, so there are various tasks have been assigned, such as your risk assessment, defining security policies, defining security procedures, implementing controls, okay, and ensuring that organization complies with all the standard requirement. Okay, not only that, lead implementer will be having an additional technical knowledge as well about information security, so he can implement, he can understand the organization business process, he can do risk management. Okay, so he oftenly plays a crucial role in helping organization to enhance their information security posture so they can achieve 27,001 certification. Okay, so not only that, there are certain commitments as well. So for example, when we talk about a lead implementer, so there are certain responsibilities have also been added towards a lead implementer. So what he will be doing, first he will be understanding the requirement of 27,001. So why this organization should go for a 27,001. Okay, so it will going to give an extra benefit for their business. Their information again will be secured. Okay, now when they are approaching towards your the requirement standard, that is your 27,001. So not only that, he understood about the business, then he will be performing a risk assessment and managing it. Okay, so he will be identifying the eventual you can say he is going to evaluate the potential risk of the organization assets. Okay, so based on to that, he is going to implement the risk management strategies. So what are the mitigations, how it has been mitigated, if any risk has been identified, create a test plan for it. Okay, so in prior we have created, or we are ready for each and everything. So as an organization, we will be not waiting any risk to be happen. Okay, for example, attack has been happened, so I will be not going up and implementing or setting up a team. So what attack has been happened, how the attack has been happened, we have a set of a plan in ready. Okay, attack has been happened, send our first responder, send our forensic investigation team, do a root cause analysis. So we have a plan ready for it. We will be not waiting anything to be happen. In the meantime, the attacker will be taking using all the information, sending up into the market or asking for some ransom. Okay, so similarly, your implementer will be conducting a risk assessment. Now this is not a technical term. When I'm saying a risk assessment, so physically he is not going to involve over here. He will going to go with an inherent risk, most risk area and low risk area. How I had given you the example of an InfosecTrain. Okay, what can be an high risk area, what can be a low risk area? By understanding the organization structure, we go with this. We go with an inherent risk. We go with an low risk area factor. Okay, based on to that, develop a strategies how to mitigate or how to identify those risks. Okay, so post to that, your lead implementer is also going to take care about policies, is also going to take care about procedures, developing the policies, developing the procedures. So he can develop information security policies aligned to your 27001 requirement. He ensures all the security policies are being communicated, understood through inside the organization. Okay, so as I said, when we enter inside an organization building, when inside an building, we have an access card. Okay, so now the access card has been given to an employee. Not only that, the information also been given that this access card has been used while tapping onto the main gate. Okay, then only you have been permitted inside this organization. So what that implementer is doing, adding a control and giving an information about the control, that what security control we have added and why it has been added. Okay, now post to that, he will be taking care about the planning of an implementation. Okay, he is going to develop a detailed plan for the implementation of an ISMS, considering the organization structure, process, business. So there are almost 93 controls, so it's not mandatory to add all the 93 controls, depending onto the organization size, onto the business. So which one is an important one, that one will be added. Okay, now how that will be added? By conducting an assessment, risk assessment. Based onto the risk assessment, the controls will be added. Okay, now this plan is been developed and made by the lead implementer. He is going to develop and maintain this plan. Okay, he is going to go with a security control implementation. First, identify the implemented security control. Okay, then he is going to address specific risk or vulnerability to this control, because every control have a risk. Okay, so every control have its own risk. Okay, so we had added an access control risk. There might be a possibility someone is been tailgating. Okay, so if I'm entering, tapping that particular access card, coming inside an premises, someone also is rushing behind to me and also entering at the same time behind to me, and that is not been monitored. So we had added a control, but that control is also having a problem. So what we do, we understand about the situation. Okay, we do an gap assessment, we identify the risk towards and control, and we implement additional controls. A CCTV camera has been added to monitor, to go within continuous monitoring mode. Not only that, we added a physical security guard as well, who is going to monitor all this activity too. Okay, so every control have its own problem. So what we do a gap assessment, we identify the risk, and we add in control to go with an effective manner to manage and mitigate those information security risks. Okay, now the control has been added, then the training and awareness to awareness has been given. Okay, a program will be developed, and the particular employees, we are going to give in this particular awareness training program to the employees, that this is the control has been added, why it has been added, what is the reason behind to this, and what this control has been doing. Okay, based on to your information security best practice, the training has been provided, the awareness training has been provided. Then everything need to be documented. Starting from the very first thing. Okay, starting from the understanding the architecture of an organization, going with an implementing of a security control. Okay, so each and everything will be documented. Again, it's a mandatory process related to an ISMS, including your policies, procedures. Every record need to be taken. Okay, now once it has been implemented, lead implementer can also do an audit, internal audit. He can also conduct an internal audit based on to the effectiveness of an ISMS. Okay, so we have added 50 controls. Let's see, let's cross verify whether all these 50 controls are perfectly fitting into our architecture, into our business architecture. Okay, if anything has been missed, so we can identify that risk, we can identify that particular problem, and we can mitigate those problems. That's why we do an internal audit, or we also call it as a gap assessment, to identify the areas of improvement. so we can take an corrective action if needed. Every year the technologies are changing. Okay, so we are not going to depend on one technology. Okay, employees have been hired, employees have been going from an organization, and how this data has been maintained. Okay, the record need to be updated, isn't it? We are using as of now we are using one tool. Now next day, let's suppose we all are coming from one organization. Okay, so internally we are using Teams. Okay, Teams tool, Microsoft Teams. Now this tool has been updated in every month. This tool has been updated. Now that information also, the organization is going to make a record of it. Okay, let's suppose by any chance the Teams application is not supporting in half of the laptop. So so the organization will be going with another tool. Okay, now this information need to be updated as well. They have to keep a record of it. Inventories, what application has been used, are those applications have been purchased or not, license based or not. Okay, so definitely this information will be kept on track, and that the auditor will going to check for it. Okay, so they can identify this area, they can go with an implemental process into an implementing of an ISMS. Okay, we call it as a continuous improvement. Okay, so this is the roles and responsibilities of a lead implementer. Okay, so lead implementer is what? It's a professional who is having an expertise in implementing, managing the information security management system. Okay, not only depending as per your ISO 27001 requirement. It's a framework to establish, implement, and maintain and go with a continual improvement. That's what your lead implementer do. Okay, so he understand the framework, the architecture of an organization, he establish. Okay, then he go with an implementation of an ISMS, then he maintain the ISMS and go with a continual improvement. Okay, so this is the roles and responsibilities of a lead implementer. Okay, so I hope this is clear with everyone. Now we discussed about a lead implementing. Now let's discuss about an organization. Okay, let's say organization want to go with an ISMS. Okay, so what basic things have been required? Okay, so let's understand that. So first thing is your management system. Okay, so ISMS full form is information security management system. Now what is a management system? Management system is a set of interrelated or interacting element of an organization to establish policies, objective and procedures to achieve those objectives. Okay, not only that, a management system can address a single discipline, a discipline or several disciplines as well. Okay, now this system element is which is going to include organization structure, your roles, responsibilities, planning, how to operate. Okay, how to operate this particular organization, what planning is been needed. Okay, what roles and responsibilities to be added. Let's suppose in an organization there are 50 employees. Now for those 50 employees, what roles and responsibilities have been added? Now management is going to take care of it. Okay, or we also call it as a stakeholders, they are going to take care of it, what roles and responsibilities we are going to assign. Now this thing need to be documented as well. Now not only that, there is a scope of a management system as well, which includes the whole organization, which specify the functions of an organization, specify the identifying the sections of an organization. Okay, it specified the group of an organization as well. Now everything is been coming under to your management system. Now management system, you can say it allows organization to establish policies. Okay, it allows organization to go with an objective. What is the objective, what is the you can say future scope of this organization. Okay, so they can go with different field, they can include the quality review down the line, they can go with an information security environment as well. Okay, so first we have three major things coming under to your management system. First is your the structure of an organization. Second is your systematic process. Okay, or you can say the resources. Then is your effective assessment methodology, that if you are going with a risk assessment, what methodology you have been adopting. You are going with a vulnerability assessment, what methodology you have been adopting. Okay, you are going with an gap assessment, what methodology, what step-by-step approach you have been adopting. Okay, so if there any plan ready, if there is any plan ready, give us the information. Okay, not only that, in the in one financial year, how many times you are performing this assessment. First assessment has been done in first quarter, second assessment has been done in the second quarter, then which month of an first quarter, which month of an second quarter. So we derive, this management system derive those plans as well. Okay, so down the line they can review the process. Okay, if there is any problem or any adequate solution, go with the solution. The solution will be provided by them. Okay, so there is an implemental, a continuous implemental, in order to recognize, in order to implement all this justifiable, all this justification. Now we have some standards as well onto your management system. Yes, sir. Okay, so ISO, what they have done, they have published multiple range of traditional individuals, such as your agriculture, constitution, the most recent development into information technology. Okay, so what do we have? We have 9,000 series, we have 14,000 families, which has been talking about these are the best known ISO standard. 9001 quality management, 14,001 environmental management. Okay, then we have is your 45,001, which has been talking about occupational health and safety management system. Then we have 20,000, this first part, which is talking about self management. 22,000 talking about food safety management. 22,300 301 talking about business continuity management. 27,001 talking about information security management. 2,800 is talking about supply chain security management. So these are what? These are some management system standard. Okay, so this has been used inside an organization. Okay, in multiple organizations, whether they are coming from any of the background, so they adopt this standard. Okay, now these standards have been some of the this particular requirements have been you can say that are common in some of the this ISO standard. For example, uh, in 9001 and in 27,001, your leadership and commitment controls is very much common. Okay, your policy management system is very much common. Okay, we have this policy management system under to your 9001 as well, under to your 27,001 as well. In fact, it is under to your 14,001 as well. Okay, so this control is very much common in all this management system. 9001, 14,001, then into your 27,001. Documented information, internal audit, how to perform an internal audit, a step-by-step approach. The same approach has been given into your 9001, same approach has been adopted by 14,001, and same approach has been adopted by 27,001 series as well. Okay, management review, how to go with a management review. This control is there into your 9001, this control is there into your 14,001. In fact, this is there into your 27,001 as well. So there are some common structures as well in ISO standard, which have been integrated, which have been managed by this management system. Okay, now there are certain additional benefit as well. Okay, benefit to integrate management system or to integrate IMS. Now ISMS, so which is again going into a collective manner, okay, by an organization to pursue in the pursuit of an protection of an information asset. Okay, now this ISMS is what? It's a systematic approach. Systematic approach means it's a step-by-step approach. Okay, step-by-step approach to implement the ISMS, to go with an establishment of an ISMS, how to operate this ISMS, how to monitor this ISMS. Not only that, how to go with an improvement process of an ISMS inside an organization. So ISMS is giving you a step-by-step approach. Step-by-step approach means, so if you want to attain the training, okay, attend this master class, what you have to do? You have to register to this master class. First step, After registration, you will be receiving an invitation link. Okay. Once you receive an invitation link over an email, after that, what you are going to open that link in an application. So application is been downloaded or opened into a browser. Third step, once you are connected with the application, you are into a meeting. So what is this? This is a step-by-step approach. So same approach is been defined by an ISMS. How to go with an implementation of an ISMS. Okay. What policies need to be adopted? What procedures need to be followed? What controls need to be added? So ISMS is giving you a step-by-step approach, a systematic approach. Okay. So it is based on to your risk assessment and the organization risk acceptance level as well. How it has been defined, how effectively the risk has been treated, how effective the risk has been managed. Okay, so ISMS is analyzing those requirements for the protection of information asset. Okay, so down the line they can apply appropriate control to make sure these assets are being protected. Okay, so there are certain principles which have been contributed or which have been used to implement the ISMS. So we go with certain principles. For example, um, provide an awareness training program related to information security to all the employees. Okay, so nowadays there are multiple phishing calls have been coming. Okay, or phishing emails have been coming. Okay, so what we do, we provide an awareness training program to all the employees. Again, it's a requirement standard of an ISMS coming under to certain policies. Awareness training program. Okay, so for example, if I receive an email coming from my organization, that email has been saying that thank you for joining the meeting, or let's say tomorrow we are having a meeting by 10 a.m. in the morning. This is the joining link, but we didn't check we didn't cross verify from whom that meeting invitation link has been sent. Okay, or what email ID has been used. Okay, so it can be a phishing scam as well, or you might be receiving an email such like that. So congratulations, you have won and reward of XYZ amount. To claim this reward, click on this following link. Okay, now let's suppose I'm sitting into my internal network or connected to my organization network, and I clicked onto that link straight away. Malware will get downloaded into the system and the organization will be impacted. Okay, so for this, our awareness training program has been provided. Okay, so when the awareness training with this awareness training and program is been provided, not only that, uh, certain roles and responsibilities is also been added to each and every employee, because every employee will be not having the same roles and responsibilities. Okay, they won't be having the same access control as well. I am sitting into an accounts team, you are sitting into an HR team, so we both will won't be having the same access control to the database. I can have an control, I can access the accounts database, you can have an access to the HR database. Okay, so what it has been done, we have assigned the responsibilities for information security. Roles and responsibilities have been assigned. Okay, then when we talk about the implementation of an ISMS, the fundamental principle has been talking about a risk assessment as well. Okay, how to go with a risk assessment with that appropriate control to so we can get an acceptable level risk. Okay, so whether this risk can be acceptable or not. So let's look for it. For example, we did an assessment, vulnerability assessment for an organization. And what we found out, there is an vulnerability in one application. Now that application, that vulnerability is leading to exposure of some data. Now that data is costing around $10 for an organization. Okay, the data which is getting leaked from that application is only costing often $10. But to fix this patch, the cost is around $1,000. Now organization will see whether they can adopt or whether they can accept this risk or not. Yes, they can accept $10 loss, but to fix that vulnerability is costing almost 100 times. Okay, so let's accept this risk. Okay, based on to the assessment. So for that only we do an assessment and we go with an risk acceptance level. Okay, based on to the severity of a risk, high risk, low risk, okay, medium risk. Okay, so based on to the risk, we go with an acceptance level and we add in control, appropriate control towards that particular this identified risk area. Okay, so these are general, I can say, guidelines or fundamentals to define the ISMS. Okay, now when I'm talking about an ISMS is what? Information Security Management System. Okay, now before understanding the information security, let me give you a few pointers. What are benefits to implement the ISMS? Okay, to have an this 27001 certificate for an organization, it can retain customer and win the new business as well. For example, my organization has been certified with an ISO 27001. But now what ISO 27001 has been saying that the data has been secured and it's been managed as well. Definitely the new business will be coming because the client data is been secured. Okay, their information has been secured. It is giving an extra edge. Okay, it is preventing fine and loss of an reputation as well. The reputation is getting built over here. Respond to evolving security threats. There will be less security threats because we are managing it. Okay, we are going with a continual implemental process. We have test plan ready for each and every activity. Okay, we are continuously going with a gap assessment, risk assessment. So there will be a low risk area, low risk factor for the organization. It improves the process and strategies as well because we are following a step-by-step approach. That's what your ISMS has been talking about, isn't it? It's a systematic approach for an establishment, for an implementation, for an operation, for an monitoring, for an review. So we are following certain strategies. Protecting confidential data. Everything has been sitting under to your around to your CIAs. Okay, all your personal information has been protected. Reduce information security costs as well. So we cannot have an extra level, this particular additional control to be established. For example, monitoring method, we are following some approach towards a monitoring method. Okay, we are having an this SOC team, we are having an pen testing team. Additionally, we don't require any other things. It improves company culture as well. Every month awareness training has been provided, so all the employees have been updated, all the employees have been aware about the security threats, so there won't be any particular major security threat for the organization because it has been tracked. It's totally it is totally organization what they have been adopting, what they have been implementing. So it is going to give you an extra level, extra edge for that organization once the ISMS has been implemented. ISMS is what? It's an information security. Now, what is an information security? Information security ensures that confidentiality, availability, and integrity of an information. Okay. Now, this information security is been sitting around to your CIA. Confidentiality, integrity, and availability. It is in managing this thing, managing the control, involving the wide range of threats. Okay, so when I'm talking about in confidentiality, what it has been doing, making sure that information is kept confidential. Whatever trade secrets has been sent from your mail ID to my email ID over an email. Okay, let's suppose you are sending a document to me, so we are making sure that this document has been kept kept secret. when it has been traveling over a network from your device to my device, it has been secured. There is no one is looking into this data. No one is tampering this data. So what we are doing, we are adding an extra level of insecurity. Okay, so confidentiality ensures that information is only accessible by the authorized individual. Apart from that, there will be no unauthorized access. The personal data of an employee must be accessible only by the authorized person. For example, when we are let's suppose I was been hired to a new organization. Now the HR team will be asking my personal information, for example, my certificates. Okay, so I will be providing them a certificate, my qualification details, my address, my phone number, all my personal information. Okay, my account number, so that salary will be credited into my account number. So all this information is been provided to the HR team member. Now, only the HR resource or the department can have an access to this data. Apart from that, no other person can have an access to this data because it is a confidential one. They are storing their data into their database. Okay, your manager, we won't be having an access, or the account or the other team won't be having an access to that database. So it has been make sure that only the authorized person or the department is having an access to that particular data. Okay, like your access card, lock onto the doors. Okay, lock onto the safes. Okay, until and unless I don't have a key, I cannot open that safe. Only the authorized person can access it. Isn't it? That's what your confidentiality is. Then we have is your integrity. Okay, so let's move into our next part. That is your integrity. Now, integrity is what? Whatever information you are sharing, whatever information is being kept into that safe, into the database, that information should be complete. It should not be tempered as well. Okay, so I am providing my email ID. I am providing my this certificate details, account details. Okay, so that this particular information should not be tempered. Okay, it should be complete. That's why we are going with an integrity. We have implemented one more thing over here. Okay, the information should be complete. Okay, only the authorized person can have an access. If there is any tempered into an data, straight away it will be identified. Okay, now how we are going to maintain the integrity? So we started using an hash. Okay, now this thing is very much technical. Let me go into an simple way. For example, integrity control has been including your procedures. Okay, so this will be contributing to reduce the risk or to reduce the error. Okay, so we have data validation control. We use training as well. We add certain controls as well in operational level. Okay, so integrity has been protected. Let's suppose by preventing any authority by when we are stealing some information. Now those information, as I said, should not be modified or should not be changed. So what we do, we keep a record of it. Okay, we keep a record who is having an access to it, the data which has been stored or the data which has been uploaded, what is the size, what is the particular time of storing of that data. Okay, so like this we maintain all the records. Okay, now when I talk about a technicality, so technicality, what we started using an hash. Okay, so let me give you an example for that as well. Okay, so confidentiality, we started using encryption and decryption. Let's suppose this is my message, Abhishek. Now this will be encrypted. something like this into an unreadable format. Okay, but this information has been sent from one device to another device. This is my A device, this is my D device. A is sending a message, okay, to B. So Abhishek is been encrypted into an unreadable format, and let's suppose hacker is also sitting into the same network. So he cannot understand the message, but he can modify the message. Okay, so what we have introduced the integrity. Now in integrity, what we are going to do, we are going to add an hash after this message. So hash will be calculated for an Abhishek, that will be in the form of a number 12F62GH, something like this. Okay, so hash will be added to behind to this particular message, and that will be sent to B. Now B, what he is going to do, he is going to collect this message, he is going to decrypt this message first from BHSHIKA to ABHISHEK. Okay, once the message has been decrypted, he is going to cross verify what hash is been received by him and what hash has been calculated by him. Once both has been calculated, that means no modification of an data has been done, integrity has been maintained. Okay, no manipulation of an data has been done over there. So that's why we added one more thing over here, integrity. Now whatever information I had provided to an HR team, okay, now that information should be available as well. Whenever they want to have an access, it should be available. Okay, the information must be easily accessible by person or by that particular stakeholder who needs it. Okay, so there is a sale going on to an Amazon, and I want to purchase a mobile phone, so I added that particular mobile phone into my cart. Okay, making a payment, but that Amazon is not been responding. So at this point of in time, what I'm going to do, waited for 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, but still I'm getting a page error. So I will be going to another e-commerce website. We'll be looking for whether the same deal I'm getting it over there or not. If I'm getting the same deal, I'm going to make a purchase from there. There will be a loss of an business to an Amazon. Okay, not only that, the reputation loss for an Amazon as well. So in this case, okay, so in this case, what Amazon is going to do, they are going to add a backup over here to make sure that servers is available whenever it has been required. Okay, if one server is down, we have a backup server, so all the particular this request will be diverted to the backup server, and from a backup server you will be getting a response flag. So that's how we maintain the availability as well. So that is what your information security is. Information security ensures that confidentiality, availability, and integrity is been managed, is been maintained. Your CIA, which we are talking about, the CIA tries the three pillars of an information security, and we maintain these three pillars of an security by adding new controls over there to minimize, or you can say to check what are the wide range of threat. Okay, how we can sustain the business successfully, how we can minimize the consequences to information security threats or to information security incidents. Okay, so that's what your CI has been talking about. Okay, now we understood about an ISMS. We understood what are the benefits to implement an ISMS, what is an information security. Now how this ISMS has been implemented, that is the main thing, isn't it? Okay, so we know what is an ISMS. Now how this ISMS is been implemented, that is the main task over here. So what do we have? We have a step-by-step approach to implement the ISMS. Okay, now what this approach has been talking about, first go with the define and establishment, then go with an implement and operation and operate it. Okay, then go with an monitor and review, then maintain and improvement. Okay, maintain and improve. So what is this thing? This is a step-by-step approach to implement the ISMS. Okay. To understand this, let me go into a very basic term. We also call it as an PDCA. Plan, do, check, and act. Okay. So this is again a structure of your ISO or ISO 27001 or implementation of an ISMS. Okay. So first what we do, we plan. Okay. I want ISMS to be implemented inside an organization. So let's have a plan for it. Now to plan, what we are going to do, we are going to address the risk, we are going to address the opportunities. Okay, we are going to go with an information security risk assessment. Okay, then post to that, what is the treatment plan? Okay, risk treatment plan. Okay, plan for this treatment plan. If any risk is been identified, how we are going to mitigate that risk? Have a plan ready for it. Who is going to perform an assessment? Have a plan ready for it. When this assessment need to be performed, have a plan ready for it. Okay, so once we have a plan for it, once we have the list available for it, then we go with an objective planning, objective to achieve all this planning. Okay, once it has been planned, we go with an support. Now who will be doing this? Who is going to do the implementation of an ISMS? Who is going to do the assessment, risk assessment? Who is going to do an gap assessment? So we require resources for it. So organization will going to determine, will going to provide the necessary resources to operate, to go with an implementation of an ISMS. Okay, so the task will be assigned related to an ISMS. Not only that, organization is going to set the going to give the roles and responsibilities. Okay, so we have a team of an implementation of an ISMS. We have a team of an security auditing. We have a team of an account. So let's define the roles and responsibilities to the IS implementer, to the accounts, to the HR team. So there will be an account manager. Under to that, there will be an account associates. So what, the resource has been hired and roles and responsibilities have been established. Okay, the arrangements have been done. Now all this information has been documented. Then we go with an implementation. We have a team of an ISMS. Let's them go and operate. Let them go and implement all those things. Okay, so first they identify, they understand the business. Okay, so now I am talking in terms of an auditor. Let's suppose I am an implementer, I am an auditor, I want to implement a control inside the organization, ISMS implementation. So first what I will be doing, I will be understanding the business. Okay, business of InfosecTrain, what they have been taking care of. Once it has been understood, then I will be going with an implementation. So this particular InfosecTrain is providing a training and consultancy. What will be the major factor? Okay, so let's add and control in each and every places. Okay, once it has been implemented, we go with a gap assessment. We go with an internal audit to monitor, to review, is there anything has been missed? If it has been missed, let's maintain, let's improve that thing. Plan, do, check, and act. I had planned to implement the ISMS. I had implemented the ISMS. I had monitored the ISMS, and I had worked on that particular identification of an ISMS. Okay. So what we are doing, we are going with a step-by-step approach. We are evaluating each and everything. Okay. The evaluation has been done. The internal audit has been done. The management review has been done into our last step. We monitor, we measure, we analyze the evaluation. We go with an internal audit. Okay, there will be a top management. They will be performing a review. Okay, so what report has been generated by the internal auditor, that will be submitted to the top management, and top management is going to review it. Okay, what thing is been addressed. Now how we are going to mitigate this thing? Okay, so we go with this approach, plan, do, check and act approach. The next we have is your ISMS implementing approach. Okay, so we had identified what is the process of an implementation. Okay, now let's understand what approach need to be taken care. Okay, so if you are going with an implementation, so first thing we are going to define the approach of an ISMS implementation. We are going to align some of the best practice. Okay, now what this approach has been talking about, this approach has been giving you some factors. First is your speed of implementation and deadline. Okay, target maturity, level of control, expectation and scope, applicable laws and regulation, management support. Okay, now organization, or you can say organization will be wishing to comply with ISO 27001. Okay, so they will be considering certain approaches. So we have certain approaches as you can see onto the screen. Okay, so the reason behind to this is because we cannot implement in one day. Okay, we have to plan it. Okay, we have to consider certain period. The tenure to go with an implementation is nearly around to 6 to 12 months. Okay, so once the project has been accepted, then we go with an implementation. The first cycle of an audit to go with a monitoring system, almost 6 to 12 months has been required. It's a never, it cannot be done overnight. Okay, so we have certain limitations. So depending on to the organization, the strength, okay, onto the business, so the implementation process will be begin. So it will take around 6 to 12 months. Okay, this is the maximum time limitation. So again we have minimum time limitation as well. So if we are considering the ISMS in a particular part of an organization, okay, so it can be done into an whole organization, it can be done into one part of an organization as well, depending on to the business. So if we are going with a fast track approach, if you want to go with a very quick approach, okay, so the project will be completed around 4 to 7 months, this max to max. Okay, so first is the speed of implementation and deadline, then target maturity, level of and control. Okay, so what control you are going to add depending on to the assessment which has been done. Okay, based on to the assessment you identified the problem and you added a control. Now those controls has been setting into the defined scope. The scope is one part of an organization. We are not considering the whole organization. Let's say the whole organization, that will be my scope. ISMS need to be implemented in whole organization. So that will be the scope. In which countries, in which state you have been setting. Now based on to that laws and regulation, you are going to add this control, because in let's suppose when an employee has been hired, there is some background verification as well. Now in many of the countries, this background verification is not validated. Okay, so we cannot add certain controls. This totally depending on to the laws and regulation of that particular country or of that particular city or of that particular state. Okay, so adopt the control based on to that. Okay, so your management is going to support, management is going to give an approval once this thing has been set. So we required certain this amount, we required certain deadline time, we required certain resources. Okay, we want all this control need to be implemented. So here is our uh, you can say uh, a list of it. Okay, review this list and provide us an approval, so we can begin with an implementation. There are different types of an implementation approach as well, as we have discussed. Okay, so there are different types of approach too. So these are your implementation approach. There are different types of an approach as well. Okay, so we have business approach, system approach, systematic approach, integrated approach, and interview approach as well. Okay. Now implementation approach is going to give you a proposal how the ISMS are usually sequential. Okay, so organization project plan is completely prioritized first. Then we go with an establishment of a project. We decide that we want to adopt this ISMS. We want to implement the ISMS inside an organization. Not only that, after implementation, we are going to monitor it as well. Okay, so it will be into an you can say into a continuous state. Okay, so for this location, because organization can be sitting into a multiple location as well, so there can be a multiple branch for one organization. So in which location you want to implement, okay, in which location you are going to go with and monitoring, identify that first. Okay, it's an on-site audit or it's an on-site implementation or it's an online implementation. Identify those things. Okay, once it has been identified, each and every phase will be processed. Okay, a control will be implemented sequentially. Okay, it will be going into a plan manner for an implementation, for an approval, for an monitoring. The approach does not allow any organization to go with an immediate experience, or they are not going to have an positive outcome as well immediately. Okay, so it requires time. That's why I said, to implement anything, to have an control, to have an implementation of an ISMS, mean there are minimum this particular time limit and maximum time limit 6 to 12 months. Okay, and minimum is 4 to 7 months. Okay, so this approach is based, or this approach is been you can say is suggesting you, giving a suggestion that on what following approach, or what following system reasonable period you can adopt for. So first we have is your business approach. Okay, so this is going to help in integrating the ISMS into the context of commercial activities across the organization. Then we have systems approach. Okay, so overall implementation of an ISMS approach, it will be adopted, not isolating any certain processes. Okay, then we have systematic approach. Okay, which is for an application, for perspective of an application into in project management, such as your ISO 16, ISO 1006. Then we have integrated approach, which is used to integrate, or which is used to harmonize the ISMS with other management system, other requirement established within that organization. Then we have interactive approach, which is giving you a rapid implementation of an ISMS, which is adhering some minimum requirement of a standard as well, with the continual improvement. Okay, so you can say, if you are having a time crunch, so during that time you can go with an interactive approach, which will be helping you to implement in 4 to 17 weeks, 4 to 7 weeks, or 4 to 7 months. Okay, so we are going with a rapid implementation over here. Okay, so again, some application need to be proposed first. Okay, towards the implementation. So we cannot go with an implementation straight away. We have to provide an application. We have to go with an send an approval, this proposal first. Okay, now this proposal will be sent to your management. Once the management has accepted the proposal, then we go with the requirements. We want to go have a requirement of a new technology. We want to integrate the ISMS. We want to apply certain principle. Okay, we want to discuss this information with our interested parties as well. So after that, we can obtain the management support, obtain the implementation of a management. So these are the recommendations from our end. Okay, now this recommendation will be given into a proposal, the best practice. Okay, not only that, we are going to give them an information how we are going to maintain the ISMS. We are going to maintain the ISMS with the help of an PDCA cycle, plan, do, check, and act. Okay, so every quarterly basis, we are going to have an internal auditing. Before to an internal auditing, there will be a risk assessment. We also call it as a gap assessment. If anything has been if anything has been falling back, so in the meantime, we can solve a solution. Now to solve a solution, also we have a plan ready. Okay, for a continual improvement. Okay, so there is a team who will be taking care of it. This is the plan cycle for that team who has been operating. Okay, so everything will be documented and this will be shared with the top management with the integration of an management methodology with the management system standard as well. Each and everything, the best practice will be say aligned over here. Okay, so when we go within 27001, okay, there are other standards also been used. In 27001 we use 27002, which has been giving you an guidance to an information security management. Not only that, we use one more guidance standard, 27003. We have 27004, which is giving you an guidance on your 27002. We have 27005 as well. Okay, so these are your reference guidance which is supporting each other. You can have a good practice. If you want to adopt, yes, you can adopt it. It's not a mandatory requirement. It's never a mandatory requirement. These are your guidance standard which is supporting each other. You can take and help of this guidance standard as well. These are freely available to directly onto your ISO website. You can download it from there. The guidance standard, the guidance book. Okay. So which will be supporting your 27001. Okay. So it's always a good practice to recognize you can say to recognize the business approach. Okay, so what will be the best practice to go with the to use the tool, to use the technique which is very much specialist, which is very much special. Okay, so again you can recognize with the help of your let's suppose you have done an implementation for an organization to multiple times. Okay, so you have a knowledge. Okay, so based on to your knowledge you can take the help of an guide as well, which is going to add an extra value for that subject to give you a broader consensus as well. Okay, so we use certain methodology like your ISO 1006, which is giving you a guidance for quality management project. Then we have 27003, which has been talking about information security management system implementation guide, how it has been implemented. We have a guide for it. Then we have project management body of knowledge as well. We call it as PMBOK. Okay, to identify which is going to give you a good knowledge to go with a project management. Okay, which is going to describe certain terms, documentation, planning, design, giving you tool, giving you the information of an tool, giving you the information of an technique, what technique need to be adopted. Okay, how much time to be is been required to complete this project, what will be the how to do and cost management in a project, how to do and quality management in a project, how to go with an human resource management in a project. So this program management body of knowledge is going to give you a good guide of it. Okay, so from where you can get all this? Okay, if you want to get an information about quality management system, which is your 1006, you can get directly from an ISO website. If you want to have a book of PMBOK guide, which is your project management, you can get it off from PMI website. Okay, of 27003 guide, you can get it from an ISO website. Okay, so you can download this guide and you can see what methodology they have been adopting, and it will give you a good understanding, fair understanding about the methodology. Okay, why it has been adopted, how it has been adopted, who has been adopted. So giving you is 27000C, which has been talking about how to do the implementation. Okay, so first we have certain process for it whenever we want to implement anything. Okay, so we go with we understand the organization. Okay, so first will be your introduction of an organization. Then we define the scope where we want to implement. Then we go with an terms and condition. Okay, what terms and conditions need to be agreed between the trusted party. Then we take an approval from a leadership. Okay, so they had provided an approval. Yes, you can go ahead and plan this implementation of an ISMS. Then we start with an planning. Okay, now when we start with an implementation, what will be the who is going to support us? Support will be required because it's of an whole organization and we don't know how it has been working, because accounts department will be giving us an account manager will be giving us a good this overview how that accounts department has been has been operated. So we are going to take the help of this management to understand about the working ethics. Okay, so in that case, in that situation, we can understand better how this particular department has been working, and we can implement certain control in that department. So definitely a support has been required. Okay, now once the support has been required, then we go with an evaluation. When we go with an implementation, once it has been implemented, we go with an evaluation, performance evaluation. Okay, and last we have is your improvement. Okay, so these are certain things. Okay, or we also call it as in the standard will be containing certain clauses as well, that how you can aim for this implementation. Okay, so first understand about the organization, understand about the scope, where you want to implement, what terms and conditions need to be defined, take the go with an discuss with an leadership. Okay, take an approval from them, understand the business, understand the roles and responsibility, and then go with an planning of an implementation. Once we go with an planning of an implementation, we require some support as well. Okay, support from all the department. So it will be very much easy to implement the controls in those department. Then the implementation process work. Then the performance after implementation, we go with a gap assessment, gap to evaluate how this has been, how this controls have been implemented. If anything has been missed, so we can mitigate those things, and then it has been improved. Okay, so this is a step-by-step approach. As I said, ISMS always goes with a step-by-step approach, which will be giving you a good definition how to go with the process, how to adopt this process. Okay, so in shorter form, we call it as a PDCA. PDCA cycle, plan, do, check, and act. Now this PDCA cycle, I'm very much talking about this PDCA. We generally use this in our day-to-day life as well. Okay, and we haven't noticed it. For example, I want to go with a certification of an ISO. So first, what I will be doing, preparing for an exam. Once it has been prepared, I will be writing an exam. Okay, after that, results will be out. Okay, so if I haven't scored the 100%, again I will be going with an preparation where I have been missed. Okay, plan for an exam, written that exam, results are out. I had planned for 100 marks, written the exam of 100 marks. Out of 100, I had scored 50. Where those 50 marks have been missed, again I will be preparing for it. Okay, it's a continual process. Plan, do, check, and act. Same thing is been adopted when we are doing an audit. Same thing is been adopted when we are doing an assessment. Same thing is been adopted when we are going with an BCP. Okay, so everywhere we adopt this terminology. Okay, of your plan, do, check, and act. Now, when we go with this approach, again, one more thing I want to include over here. When we go with this approach of a business approach or systematic approach, we understand the mission of a business as well, vision of that particular organization as well. Okay, so what is the particular, what is the defined part to establish it? Okay, so once it has been defined, let me take back to the old slide, just a second. Define and establish. So what we do, once we define the implementation, okay, so once we decide to go with an implementation, so what we do, we initiate the ISMS implementation, we understand the organization context. Okay, we go with an ISMS scope, we take the approval from the leadership, we understand the organization structure, we analyze what are the existing system, what are the security policies we can add on, how the risk assessment has been done, and what statement of applicability has been defined. Once it has been defined, we go with an second step, that is implement and operate. Okay, so everything will be documented. First of all the information management, all the information management system will be documented. We will be selecting the design. Okay, we will be selecting and designing the control. We are going to implement the control. We are going to communicate. We are going to share this information to each and every employee that we have added a control. This is the information of it. Okay, so update this information with each and every employee. Okay, so there is an this password policies is been assigned, is been aligned. So after 30 days, your password need to be updated. Share this information to an admin team, and admin team is going to regulate this information, regulate this into a network, and going to implement this thing. Okay, so then the awareness training has been given that we have a password policy in place. After 30 days, it's mandatory to reset the password. Okay, so a training has been provided how to reset the password. From today, we have introduced this policy, so make sure that everyone knows about it. Okay, then we go with then secure the management system. Then we go with the third phase there, which is your monitor and review. Okay, internal audit, management review. Okay, taking care, analyzing or doing an evaluation. And then we go with a treatment plan in maintaining and improve. Treat the non-conformatives, treat the conformative. If anything has been missed, if anything has been highlighted, treat all the things. Okay, so when we go with an establishment, we understand the scope, we understand the business of an organization, what aim they have been setting on. Okay, what is their agenda by end of the day, by end of this particular year, this financial year they have been planning for this, next financial year, for next 10 years they have been planning for this. So according to that, we can go with an implementation, their business architecture, what their business architecture has been talking about, so we can plan it accordingly. Okay, so we understand the organization and its context as well. Okay, then we start with a requirement. So that is what your lead implementer will be doing. That is what your ISMS is. Objective of an ISMS, and I've shared and I've discussed. It goes with an PDCA cycle. Okay, so objective will be to have an implementation. So we define and establish, implement and operate, monitor and review and maintain the approval, and then the implementing approach of an ISMS.